Hello, class and professor. Uh, my name is Tim Maynard, and today I'm going to be giving my week 3 presentation about dams, specifically about dams along the Patapsco River and how they've affected fish species that have depended on that river in the past. The Patapsco River flows through central Maryland and it eventually empties into the Chesapeake Bay. So, for more than a century, these dams were built along the rivers to support things like mills and factories used for flood control and electricity generation. And some of the dams that I'm going to be discussing specifically are Union Dam, Simpkins Dam, Bloody Dam, and Daniels Dam. And while the dams at some point provided a benefit for the people of the area, they also created a major environmental problem for the fish species that live in the Patapsco River. Many of the fish species in the Patapsco River are migratory, meaning that they move upstream to reproduce, and the dams were built and they blocked their migration routes, preventing the fish from reaching their spawning grounds. Some of the Patapsco River fish that are pictured here are the ones that have been mostly affected by the dams. One of the fish species that was most affected was the American shad. Uh, they are an androgynous fish, meaning that they live in the ocean, but they return to freshwater rivers to spawn. And before the dams were built, there were large populations of shad that traveled far upstream into the Patapsco River. And then once the dams obviously were built, they blocked the river and their populations declined dramatically because they could no longer reach their breeding habitat. Another fish species greatly affected by the river dams was the river herring, including the blueback herring. Um, these species also migrate upstream to reproduce, and the dams just disrupted their life cycles and their populations declined throughout the Chesapeake Bay area. The American eel is another notable species that was also affected. Unlike the shad and the herring, the eels migrate from freshwater rivers into the Atlantic Ocean to spawn. So the young eels, they would have to travel upstream to mature, but the dams made their journey difficult or nearly impossible. So in recent years, several environmental groups and state agencies have worked to restore the natural fish passages in the Patapsco River. One of the major successful instances of that was the removal of Bloody Dam in 2018. Uh, Bloody Dam is the left picture of the top. Um, the Bloody Dam had blocked fish migration for probably more than 100 years. After its removal, many scientists observed fish that were returning to areas of the river that had been inaccessible for generations to those fish. And some of the major reasons that they removed these dams was, dam removal improved the water quality and the river health, helped restore the river back to its natural environment. Free-flowing rivers carry oxygen and nutrients more naturally and create better habitats not only for the fish but also for other things like insects, birds, and other wildlife. Kind of a cool thing, uh, you know, Bloody Dam was demolished in 2018, and Daniels Dam is the last remaining dam. And currently, there's a $2 million study that's underway from NOAA and the American Rivers for the feasibility of removing that dam. And actually, here's a picture of me um, fishing at Daniels Dam and the removal or explosion that took out Bloody Dam. And I was actually part of the project that was helping to fund the removal of Bloody Dam. So, in conclusion, the dams along the Patapsco River at one point, they played a major role in Maryland's industrial history, but they ultimately harmed the migratory fish species by blocking their natural movements. Um, and efforts along the Patapsco River to remove them are helping the species a lot. Specifically, the American shad, the river herring, and the American eels. Thank you all for listening. Here are my references.